Hi everyone, welcome to Reading Wednesdays. What I'll be doing is reading 2 chapters from Dragons vs. Unicorns, my new fiction series that is out now, yay! And I'll be reading 2 chapters every single Wednesday until this weird situation is over. So thank you so much to Penguin for opening up the license so that I'm allowed to do this. So let's get started. So the first thing I want to point out, there's 2 things. So one, in the book, I go by the name Kate Crawford. That was my maiden name. That's what I went by for like 20 some years. So that's why that name is there. And the second thing is in every single chapter, there is a little science definition right here underneath the title. It's half science, half kind of jokey nerd joke. So I just want to put that on your radar of what I'm reading to you. All right, I've never done this before. So if it's a little weird, I apologize, but thanks for tuning in. Okay, chapter 1, Under Pressure. Pressure. Noun. It's when molecules work together to apply a force, like if kindergarteners push over an ice cream truck at recess, or when lava forces its way out of a volcano. Ooh. Okay, here we go. Breathing fire is easy. At least that's what I told myself. I stood in the science lab after school in front of a couple dozen 4th and 5th graders, all waiting on me. No pressure. Ready, Kate? Asked Miss Daly, our after-school chemistry club advisor. I was born ready. I pumped my arm in the air like I was in a huddle before a soccer game. Excellent, said Miss Daly. It was her typical cornball humor, mostly because of this stinky egg experiment we did last April that turned raw eggs into bouncy balls, which is an awesome experiment, by the way. You should do that one. A bunch rolled all over the place and one got lost in the radiator. Only there weren't rotten bouncy eggs involved in my demo. Instead, and there's this little list right here, so it's from Little Kate's science notebook. 1 blowtorch with a steady base so the school wouldn't catch on fire. 1 big mouth, mine, words pretty much launched out of it and thoughts came later. 2 scoops of cornstarch, nothing to do with Miss Daly's cornball humor. It had to do with carbon. 1 straw, reusable, my BFF Birdie made sure of it. 2 legs to run with if things got too explosive, 1 bucket to spit out the cornstarch, 2 best friends, 1 to hold the fire extinguisher and 1 to cheer me on, 1 glass of water to rinse out my mouth after the demo, 1 big bowl of water, safety, duh, and 1 fire blanket. Unlike Supergirl, the girl of steel, I'm fully human. Miss Daly secured the blowtorch onto a nearby desk. With its attachable base, it looked like a missile. It's ready, she declared. Soon a 2,000-degree flame would spew out of its brass nozzle. Not just anywhere, a foot from my head. I swallowed hard. Why did I volunteer for this again? Chairs scraped the floor. Kids leaned forward to see better. Normally, we got about a dozen for our Friday meetings. Today, 3 dozen crammed into the room. It was the very last meeting before fall break, and everyone had flocked here to see me. I didn't want to blow it. Strike that. I needed to blow it. Cornstarch, I mean, spitting straight toward the flame to make a gigantic sizzling fireball. Is that a real torch? Asked Avery Cooper, a chemistry club regular who played midfield on my soccer team. She pointed so enthusiastically that her short blonde braids bobbed. It looked like a prop from my dad's theater. Oh, it's real, all right, I said. I'll vouch for that, said Ms. Daly. She should know. She's a retired Air Force flight engineer. She knocked on the tank with a wrench from her tool belt. The silver wrench was the same color as her cap of short hair. It's loaded with fuel, she said. Awesome, sniffed a nasally 4th grader in an Avengers t-shirt. He made a kaboom sound that was a little too phlegmy. It's going to be a beautiful swirl of color, said Bertie Bat in a hushed voice. Of course Bertie would say that. She's my best friend and really amazing at drawing, especially unicorns. Take a step back, instructed Ms. Daly, shooing everyone with her arms. You should be in the 2nd row, just in case. In case of what? Snapped Phoenix Altman, who locked eyes with Avery. It's only a precaution, said Miss Daly. Just like the fire blanket and the fire extinguisher that Elijah Williams, my other best friend and also my next-door neighbor, was holding. For a moment, regret zipped inside of me like hot gas molecules. Had I really declared in a not-so-quiet voice during recess that I could breathe fire? Yep, speak and then think, Kate Crawford at your service. If I had known what was going to happen afterwards, would I have breathed fire? That's complicated. Because it wasn't just the fire-breathing demo. It was all the stuff days later. Because of the demo, because of me. But I didn't know any of that then. I just knew I had to breathe fire like Dr. Caroline on YouTube. It's not only because she blows things up and makes the best and weirdest messes, or because of her hot pink lab coat and cool shoes. It's because by listening to her, I realized that chemistry is way more than a bunch of facts in a book. Chemistry is what you eat, it's how you sleep, it's why shampoo stings in your eyes in the shower. You can taste science, you can smell it, and you can watch it explode. And that was the reason I had to breathe fire. It was also why weird things started happening to me. You might call them messages or formulas that didn't make sense. And when something doesn't make sense, I, Kate Crawford, get very, very curious and just have to figure it out. Chapter 2, Waiting for a Reaction. Chemical reaction, noun. A process where one thing changes into a completely different thing irreversibly. Like how we convert chocolate and flour into a cake, but we can't turn a cake into chocolate and flour. Elijah lifted the fire extinguisher over his short afro, grunting as if it were heavy, which it wasn't. He could be such a drama king. "I'm on it," he said. "Just call me the firefighter." Bertie whipped out her phone. Well, not her phone, her older sister Mila's. Bertie had dropped hers in the pond by my house, mostly because she had been a little shocked when I told her I was going to breathe fire after school today. I wasn't sure why she was surprised. It's not like I hadn't been planning this demo since last spring. Miss Daly said that if I wrote an essay on combustion, the science word for fire, and showed her I was ready, I could breathe fire when I got to 5th grade. So I had written about my need to understand fire, starting with why toasted marshmallows taste better. The heat from the fire breaks a whole bunch of bonds within the molecules, creating yummy marshmallow goo. And Miss Daly loved it. And now guess what? It was October 2nd, and I had been a 5th grader for 30 days. And don't say not that anyone was counting, because I was. I love math. Ms. Daly handed me a pale blue resistant lab coat. "More safety precautions," she said firmly. My hair was already pulled back into a ponytail, and the bowl of water sat on a nearby counter. I rolled up the sleeves of the lab coat. Even though I was tall for 10, the long coat brushed the tips of my cowboy boots. The coat would help keep me safe because it was made from a fabric that was not supposed to melt and would protect me from heat. It was okay that it smelled bad and made me look like I was wearing ugly pajamas that my grandma Dort wouldn't even wear, even if you paid her. I crossed my fingers and toes that everything would go exactly as I had practiced. And that's the end of chapter 2. Hopefully I will see you guys next week for chapter 3 and 4. If you guys liked it and can't wait, check it out. Online, you can buy it anywhere that's available and that sells books. This is Dragons vs. Unicorns, and it is my first fiction book. Yay!